In one work by this artist, musicians play seated beside an hourglass, whilst a lamb is being butchered above the central halo figure. That painting depicts the setting of Jesus' first miracle. No. This artist was one of the trio that dominated Venetian painting in the 16th century, along with Titian and Tintoretto. A painting by this artist is the largest in the Louvre. Named this Renaissance painter of the wedding at Cana and the feast in the house of Levi. Veronese is correct. Your bonuses are on nakedness. Photographer Annie Leibovitz took a famous image of the pregnant and naked Demi Moore that appeared on the US cover of which magazine in August 1991? Vanity Fair is correct. Which British pop singer appeared naked with model Giselle Bündchen on the cover of British Vogue in 2000? 7 seconds, guys.
George Michael.
Not George Michael.
Robbie Williams?
Robbie Williams it was, yes. And Terry Logan was the artist on a photo shoot in Yorkshire in 1999. The subjects were members of which organisation attempting to raise money for the charity Bloodwise? The Women's Institute is correct, Ryle and District. Well done. Next, starter, things on business. In response to a child throwing food at a polar bear, one person in this documentary shouts, "Stop it at once." This documentary was narrated by Douglas Kay and directed...
Nanook of the North.
Not Nanook of the North. This documentary was narrated by Douglas Kay and directed by Paul Almond. Neil Hughes, a Liverpudlian in this documentary, would later go on to drop out of Aberdeen University, become a squatter, serve as a Lib Dem councillor and qualify as a lay preacher. The only subject of this documentary to have died is Lynn Johnson in 2013, meaning she did not appear in its most recent follow-up programme. This documentary was researched by Michael Apted, who directed all of its sequels. 7 Up is correct, yes. 3 bonuses on UK Challenger Banks. Launched in 2015 as one of the first UK Challenger banks, which bank has no branches, 5 million UK customers and a signature hot coral payment card? Seven?
Egg.
Not egg. Monzo is correct, well done. Which Challenger bank that went live in 2017 was founded by its CEO, Anne Bowden, and at the 2021 British Bank Awards won Best British Bank for the 4th consecutive year, as well as the awards for Best Banking App, Best Current Account Provider, and Best Business Banking Provider. Starling is correct. Which Challenger bank, founded by Ukrainians Nikolai Storonsky and Vlad Yatsenko in London in 2015, is now valued as $33 billion, making it the most valuable UK tech startup in history. It is especially aimed at frequent travellers having no fees or low fees for spending abroad and international money transfers. Not SoftBank?
Nominate Revolut.
That is Revolut, yes. Well done. Okay, next starter. A 1980 article by Annette Viner criticises a translation of mapula, a term used for a type of these things in the Kiriwina language. Claude Levi-Strauss posited that women are the supreme example of these things, since their fertility is essential for reproduction. One thinker described these things as total prestation in a work suggesting that their aim was to elicit reciprocity. Malinowski studied the ceremonial exchange of these things. Gifts is correct,
nice.
yes, well done. 3 bonuses on films of the 1940s. What is the one-word title of 2 separate film adaptations of a play by Patrick Hamilton, in which a husband tries to drive his wife insane in order to distract her from his criminal activities? Gaslight is correct. Who starred as Mortimer Brewster in the 1944 film Arsenic and Old Lace, directed by Frank Capra?
Cary Grant.
Cary Grant is right. And which English novelist wrote the screenplay for the 1949 film The Third Man? Graham Greene it was. Well done. Next starter. Excuse me. The 2002 short story collection When the Women Come Out to Dance by Elmore Leonard was later reprinted under this title, which also names his short story that was adapted into the crime drama series Justified. A Steely Dan song with this title repeats the lines, "I'd like to run out now, there's nowhere left to turn," in its chorus, after commenting that there's nothing left to burn. This phrase names a procedure used on the Apollo 5 unmanned flight test of the first lunar module to simulate a lunar landing abort. Which phrase that originated as a miner's alert that a charge had been set, now generally, fire in the hole is correct, well done. Bonuses on plant behaviour. The process known as phototropism describes the tendency of plants to grow towards what? The light is correct. Phototropism comes about because the cells furthest from the light have higher concentrations of which plant hormones that, along with gibberellins, stimulate cell elongation. Auxins is correct, and used extensively in the study of genetic basis phototropism. The model organism known as the Thale cress belongs to which genus? No, Arabidopsis. Okay, next starter. Joseph Ambrosini took the only known photograph of this event. Dave Van Ronk, a musician nicknamed the Mayor of MacDougall Street, was handcuffed to a radiator by Seymour Pine during this event. Robin Sousa reported that one person in this event threw the so-called shot glass that was heard around. Stonewall riots is correct, well done. 3 bonuses on Scottish World Boxing Champions. Which Scottish southpaw won the World Light Heavyweight Championship vacated by Roberto Duran in 1979? He successfully defended his title 4 times and retired on his defeat to Alexis Arguello in 1981. No, nothing can it was Jim Watt.
It does say lightweight.
It does say lightweight. Did I say
Light heavyweight.
Did I?
I trust I would have got it if it said light. I knew Jim Watt's a lightweight.
Yeah, Jordan did.
Yeah. No, you know I wouldn't say it.
I know, yeah.
I know that Jim Watt's a lightweight. I mean, I promise you, it said
Okay.
lightweight.
It's fine.
This will throw me out, I didn't take
Okay.
it.
Right. Yeah, my apologies. I'm sorry. Thank you, everyone. Yes, thank you. Sorry. Born in Hamilton, 1942, whose father was a professional boxer fighting as Joe Gans. In 1966, he was European, Commonwealth and World Flyweight champion. Despite frequently suffering from cuts, he fought Liverpool's Alan Rudkin twice, winning the first but losing the second and his titles.
Ken Buchanan.
Not Ken Buchanan? McGowan is correct, well done. And which Scottish boxer fought in tartan shorts and was undisputed world lightweight champion from 1970 until his controversial defeat to Roberto Duran in 1972? Blows exchanged after the bell left him unable to continue. Buchanan is correct. It was coming in the end. You okay? Yeah. Okay, 2 D major trio sections in this musical work's third movement are based on an Austrian pilgrim's hymn. This work's allegretto, second movement, structured in double variation form, was described by George Grove as like a string of beauties hand in hand, each afraid to lose her hold on her neighbours. This work in A major was begun the same year that the composer's Emperor piano concerto premiered. Sir Thomas Beecham described this work as a lot of yaks jumping around, while Richard Wagner described it as the apotheosis of the dance. Beethoven's 7th Symphony is correct, well done. Bonuses on the Spanish Civil War. Immortalised in a mural by Picasso, German bombers of which legion bombed the village of Guernica into oblivion? The Condor Legion is correct. What title was assumed by nationalist leader Franco during and after his military overthrow of the Second Spanish Republic? The title derives ultimately from a Latin word for head. Caudillo is correct. And fought between July and November 1938, which was the longest and largest battle of the Spanish Civil War?
Salamanca.
Not Salamanca.
Yeah.
Ebro is correct. Well done. Next starter. One song by this singer used in the game Dirt 4 contains the lines, false fibs talk about the old streets, brick wall hit by the concrete. This singer played on the BBC introducing stage at Glastonbury 2011, leading to his signing and his track Country Song being used in a TV advert for Green King IPA. This singer has described hearing Don McLean's Vincent on an episode of The Simpsons as an example of the phenomenon that titles his best-known song. This singer sponsored Notts County's away shirts in... Jake Bug is correct. Well done. Bonuses on recent novel series. Written rapidly after the 2016 EU referendum, which novel was the first of 4 State of the Nation works and concerns the 101-year-old Daniel Gluck being visited by his 30-year-old former neighbour as he nears death in a care home. 32-year-old former neighbour. No, it's Autumn. Okay. Autumn was the first of 4 seasonal works by which Scottish author, described by Sebastian Barry as Scotland's Nobel laureate in waiting. Ali Smith is correct. And the 4th novel in the seasonal quartet, Summer, was the 2021 winner of which prize for political writing based at University College London? Orwell's correct. Orwell's correct. Next starter. This thinker discussed the tit-for-tat strategy of the prisoner's dilemma game in the Horizon documentary Nice Guys Finish First. In a YouTube video, this thinker sits in front of a tropical fish tank and reads unflattering fan mail. One book by this thinker disagrees with John Keats' assertion that Newton reduced the beauty of the rainbow by explaining its origin. Richard Dawkins is correct. Well done. And bonuses on French dancers. In 1926, at which Parisian music hall did Josephine Baker cause a sensation by dancing in a costume consisting of a skirt made of a string of artificial bananas? Edouard Manet painted a bar at this location. Folies Bergère is correct. Which Dublin-born dancer performed the Bluebell Girls performing at the Folies Bergère? Oh, she formed Bluebell.
Murphy.
Not Murphy.
Kelly.
Kelly it was, Margaret Kelly. And which French actress and singer born Jean-Florentine Bourgeois was a star of the Folies Bergère and became the highest paid female entertainer in the world? She was the lover of Maurice Chevalier. No.
Got it.
Miss Anguette is correct. Well done. Nice. And it's the last one of the day. Your mental agility questions. When a clock shows the time is 3:10, what is the angle in degrees between the hour hand and the minute hand?
30. 30.
Incorrect. 35 is correct. Well done. Nice. Under pressure. 3 bonuses on an island country and microstates in Oceania. Formerly known as Pleasant Island, which island country and microstate in Oceania accepted aid in the 2000s in exchange for hosting a controversial offshore Australian immigration detention facility?
Manaus.
Not Manaus?
Nauru.
Nauru is correct. What is the de facto capital of Nauru?
Yaren.
Yaren is correct. And Nauru's previously abundant deposits of which mineral were exhausted in the 90s, the island's environment having been seriously harmed by the mining?
Guano.
Not guano.
Oh.
Phosphate's correct. Right. And next, starter. I'm about to read number 10. An elliptic curve with the equation y squared equals x cubed plus 7 defines a generator point used in this technology. Adam Back's anti-spam scheme, Hashcash, is a proof-of-work system used as the basis for an algorithm integral to this technology. A 2021 study found that this technology consumes more than 170 Bitcoin is correct. Yes. Nice. And 3 bonuses on tiddlywinks. The modern competitive game of tiddlywinks can be traced to students at Christ's College of which university in 1955, when they decided that the easiest way to earn a blue would be to invent a new sport?
Cambridge.
Cambridge is correct. What term in tiddlywinks means to play a wink so that it comes to rest partly or wholly over another wink?
Blocking.
Not blocking.
Snooking.
Not snooking, it is swap. And in 1958, the Cambridge Tiddlywinks Club challenged Prince Philip to a match. He sent which comedy group to play on his behalf? They lost 55.5 to 120.5.
The Goons.
The Goons is correct. Well done. Okay, next starter. Yep.
At the half, team of 2 halves, 195, Teeside 220. Very close.
Okay. This is bonus 11. Sorry, this is starter 11. In the southern US, this substance is mixed with drippings of pan-fried country ham to make red-eye coffee. Coffee is correct. Right. And 3 bonuses on the history of printing. Which 15th century German printer was the pioneer of the use of movable type? Gutenberg is correct. Which printer born in Alsace was apprenticed to William Paxton, whose work he continued after his death?
Tyndall.
Not Tyndall?
2 seconds.
No, it's Wynken de Word. And which Italian printer and scholar, 1450 to 1515, set up a printing establishment in Venice for the purpose of publishing editions of Greek and Latin classics?
Three seconds.
That's incorrect.
Aldous Manutius.
Manutius is correct. Well done. In this film, one character celebrates a victory saying, "I don't even have a scratch on my face," before rhetorically asking, "Why am I so pretty?" This play's screenplay was written by Kemp Powers and based on his 2013 stage play of the same name. In 2020, this film became the first by an African-American female director to premiere at the Venice Film Festival. Sam Ashworth and Leslie Odom Jr. were nominated for Best Original Song Oscar for Speak Now, a song from this film. Name this film the directorial debut of Regina King, a fictionalized One Night in Miami is correct. Well done. Your bonuses are on film and TV composers. Which composer's works include the children's opera The Little Prince? She was nominated for Academy Awards for her scores of The Cider House Rules and in 1999 and Chocolat in 2000. Rachel Portman it was. Which composer scored Ava DuVernay's 2012 film Middle of Nowhere and the Sundance premiere documentary Toni Morrison, The Pieces I Am? She also performed that film's song, High Above the Water, which was shortlisted for the 2020 Best Original Academy Award for Song. Pass. No, that was Catherine Bostic. And which composer of the BBC Radiophonic Workshop has been referred to as the unsung heroine of British electronic music? And is best known for her realisation of Ron Graham's theme for Doctor Who. Delia Derbyshire is correct. Done. Next starter. The citrus backfly Encarsia perplexa shows the sibling form of this phenomenon by laying haploid eggs in fully developed larvae. Entomologist Carlo Emery noted that species involved in this phenomenon tend to be closely related. Cuckoos lay their eggs in the nests of other birds in the brood form. Parasitism is correct. And do you want to drink? 3 bonuses on Love Island. The summer Love Island Villa has, since 2017, been located in Saint Laurent de Cardassa, on which Mediterranean island, east of its capital, Palma? Majorca, correct. Who has presented Love Island since January 2020, replacing Caroline Flack, who was left in 2019?
What more?
Say again? Not what more, no.
Whitmore?
Laura Whitmore it was, yes. And with 42% of the vote, give either the first name or the surname of either of the winners of the 2021 series of Love Island. The first couple of late entrants to be crowned champions. Liam will do, yeah. Liam Reardon or Billy Court? Okay. Next starter. The mother of this sportsman is the former professional tennis player Julia Sergeyevna. who debuted for the Soviet Union Fed Cup team in 1980. This tennis player lost his debut match at the 2017 Rotterdam Open to the eventual champion Jo-Wilfried Tsonga. This player is the second youngest to have been ranked in the top 10 by the ATP.
Zverev.
Not Zverev. In August 2021, Andy Murray tweeted that this player takes twice as long to go to the bathroom as it takes Jeff Bezos to fly into space. This player was the champion of the 2019 ATP Finals and currently has that career high ranking of number 3 in the world. Name this tennis player the runner-up in the men's singles at the 2021 French Open and the highest-ranked Greek player in history. Here's the one. Well done. Yes. And your bonuses are on a philosopher. Which German philosopher who spent his entire career at the University of Königsberg formulated the idea of the categorical imperative in his Critique of Pure Reason? Kant it was. In his 3 critiques, Kant states that which propositions that are true or not true solely by virtue of their meaning are always a priori. They are contrasted with synthetic propositions. Analytic proposition is correct. Which Scottish philosopher did Kant credit with waking him from his dogmatic slumbers? He raised the is-ought problem in his treatise of human nature. David Hume is correct. Next, starter. Bishop Hartwig claimed that this ruler had written a work summarising the principles of government for his son Emmerich, called Admonitions. In 996, this ruler married the daughter of Duke Henry II of Bavaria, Gisela. This king was canonized by Pope Gregory VII in 1083 and is venerated as the patron saint of his country. This son of Grand Prince Geza was crowned by Pope Sylvester II on December 25th, not Wenceslas, in the year 1000. This ruler was given the pagan name Vike at his birth. A member of the Apard dynasty named this first king of Hungary. Stephen is correct. Stephen is. And your bonuses are on a pair of siblings. 2 siblings with which surname spent 8 years of plain living but high thinking at Dove Cottage near Grasmere between 1799 and 1808. Wordsworth. William Wordsworth wrote about his sister Dorothy with the lines, "Of this fair river, thou my dearest friend, my dear, dear friend," in which 1798 poem. Second answer.
Intonations on the mortality.
It's not intonations on mortality. No, it's lines written a few miles above Tintin Abbey. Dorothy Wordsworth wrote an account of an ascent of Scafell Pike, which was copied into a guidebook by which social theorist. Her other works include The Hour and the Man.
Mill.
Not Mill. No, it was Harriet Martineau, sorry. Next, starter number 16. In one play by this author, Belmore and Celinda are secretly engaged. However, the latter's parents intend her to marry the fop, Timothy Tawdry. In A Room of One's Own, Woolf writes, "All women together ought to let flowers fall upon the tomb of this author." This author used the pseudonym Astrea whilst acting as a spy for Charles II. Aphrobane is correct. Oh, nice. And 3 bonuses on the fictitious conspiracy known as the Popish Plot. Clergyman Israel Tung requested that which fellow priest write a manuscript suggesting that the Catholic Church had approved the assassination of Charles II. Titus Oates is correct. The allegations made by Oates and Tong gained little traction until the body of which Protestant supporter and MP was found impaled on a sword in Primrose. When collecting a Chortle Internet Award, one host of this podcast made the poorly received joke, "We've toppled the great King John Herring," referring to Richard Herring's Leicester Square Theatre podcast. The first ever segment of this podcast discussed how a piece of baguette dropped by a bird necessitated the shutdown of the large Hadron.
No such thing as fish.
No such thing as a fish is correct. And 3 bonuses on a novel. Which novel is narrated by Oscar Matzerath between 1952 and 1954, a period in which he is confined to a psychiatric hospital? No, not One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. The Tin Drum is correct. The Tin Drum is the first book of which trilogy by Gunter Grass, named the former name of a Polish city? Danzig is correct. In the Tin Drum, the cousin and lover of Oscar's mother, Jan Bronski, is executed for his part in the defense of which building in Danzig during the German invasion of Poland? The post office is correct. Well done. Next starter. Brown Tower and East Buttress are sub-peaks of this mountain. The Ruth Glacier, containing the 1 mile wide Great Gorge, lies to the southeast of this mountain. The first party to ascend this mountain included Walter Harper and Robert Tatum. This mountain's name, meaning the tall one in the Athabascan languages, was formerly yes, Denali and McKinley. Well done.
Good.
And 3 bonuses on Frank Sinatra. In 1939, Frank Sinatra left the Harry James Band to join a band led by which trombonist known as the Sentimental Gentleman of Swing? Tommy Dorsey. Which composer, born Edward Chester Babcock in New York in 1913, was a personal friend of Frank Sinatra and wrote many of his most famous songs, including My Hopes, Call Me Irresponsible, and All the Way, all of which won the Best Song Oscar with lyrics by Sammy Cahn. Not Jules Stein? Not Harry Warren, it was Jimmy Van Heusen. Last one, who was the musical arranger and conductor who worked with Frank Sinatra on his Capitol recording sessions, including the album? Nelson Riddle it was. Okay, next starter. One player with this surname withdrew from the 2012 China Open due to a disc bulge in the neck, later describing himself as 90% fit. Another player with this surname was coached by amateur Alf Nolan from the age of 36 and beat Muriel Hazeldine to become the first women's world snooker champion. One player with this surname took 6 minutes and 13 seconds to make a shot against John Higgins in the 2019... Selby is correct.
Fear of selfish.
And 3 bonuses on the concept in geology. Coined by William Whewell, thank you, which gradualistic concept is often summarized as the present is the key to the past. Oh, well done, it's correct, uniformitarianism. Often described as the father of modern geology, who originated the concept of uniformitarianism? Stating in his 1788 work, The Theory of the Earth, that we find no vestige. Hutton is correct, well done. Hutton gives his name to several unconformities, including one at Syccar Point, where Silurian greywake is overlaid by the old red form of which sedimentary rock?
The old red sandstone.
It is correct, sandstone. And this is the final starter. In one story, this deity transformed a berry from a cedar tree into a beating heart, and in doing so restored life to his brother. This god is the father of the serpent goddess Kabechi. This god repeatedly branded Set before wearing his flayed skin.
Egyptian.
That's incorrect. That story was often used to explain how the leopard got its spots. This god helped Isis to embalm Osiris. Designated a psychopomp, this god was a guardian of the scales at the weighing of the heart ceremony. Named this Egyptian god of death and the afterlife, often said to be jackal-headed. Anubis is correct. And your final bonuses are all on the anti-vaccination movement.
Didn't need the last one.
Happy note on which to finish. The cowpox is an 1802 work by which caricaturists portray patients' fears that Edward Jenner's cowpox-derived vaccine for smallpox would cause them to develop bovine appendages.
What's the 1802?
I said 1802 anti-caricaturist. Gilray is correct. Which former nurse was struck off in May 2021 following spreading misinformation about COVID-19 and vaccines? At a July 2021 Trafalgar Square protest, she compared NHS staff to the doctors of Nazi Germany hanged after the Nuremberg trials.
Thompson.
No, not Thompson.
Kate Jackson.
Kate Shemirani. And a 1998 Lancet paper by Andrew Wakefield and 12 co-authors falsely claimed a link between autism and which triple vaccine? MMR is correct.